Most chains don't start as chains. They begin life as a product you already make. The recipe outgrew one facility, and production moved outside. This hot sauce is one of those. Right now it's made in a single step, from 3 ingredients. The product says so plainly. Open the recipe itself, from recipes and BOMs under manufacturing, and look at how it's written. You see the units the kitchen actually works in. Solids are weighed in ounces. Liquids are measured by volume. Neither is the unit you hold stock in. So each line states the conversion underneath. 9.6 ounces is 0.6 of a pound. Nothing is left for you to work out. Nothing is quietly assumed. And every number on this screen traces back to something you entered. When production moves to outside vendors, you don't start again. On the product, right next to the line describing how it is made, sits the offer to do exactly that. It is a quiet link rather than a banner, because you will use it once in a product's life, but it is there while you are reading how the thing is made. So take it, click Split across vendors, and the chain builder opens on what you already have. The builder opens with the recipe already loaded. The finished good came across. So did the unit, the 3 ingredients, and their costs. Nothing is retyped. The one thing it can't know is where the finished cases should land, so you choose that yourself. The estimate is already priced too, so you can compare the split against what you have today before committing to it. Stage 1 goes to the co-packer who cooks and blends. Their saved rate fills in by itself. Cooking loses 6%, so enter the yield. Watch the materials line as you do. It climbs. To finish with a pound of sauce, you have to start with more than a pound of ingredients. That same arithmetic follows the chain everywhere from here on, stage after stage. Stage 2 is the bottler who fills and pasteurizes. 22 cents a pound. Each stage carries its own vendor and its own rate. A toller quotes for the work they do, not for the product overall. A later stage works on what the stage before it made. It can also use goods you supply straight to that vendor. Bottles are the everyday case. You buy the bottles from your own supplier and ship them to the bottler. The vendor never owns them. So they belong on this stage's recipe, and they're consumed at the site you sent them to. Only list what you own. Materials the vendor supplies themselves are a different thing. Their labels, their cartons, their cases. Those are covered by what they charge you. Tracking someone else's stock would create a balance you can never reconcile. Both vendors here work on toll. It's worth knowing what that means. You own the materials the whole time. You send them out. The vendor processes them and sends the result back. They never sell you the goods, so they invoice for the work alone. Your stock stays yours while it sits at their site. The recipe you started from isn't quietly discarded. You're told it will be superseded, and you're offered the alternative. Keep it live alongside the chain for the runs you still do in one step. The choice is stated, not implied. Before a single record is written, it stops and shows you both sides of the change. What changes permanently is the recipes. Starting production is a separate decision, and it's off unless you ask for it. You only split once. From here on, this is simply how the product is made. Confirming does all of it at once. A work-in-progress product for the handoff. A recipe for each stage. The original archived, not deleted. And if any single part of that failed, none of it would be written at all. Back on the product, the chain is stated in full. Both vendors. Both rates. The yield. None of it is stored anywhere. It's worked out by following the recipes, which is why it can never disagree with them. Every stage is a real product you can open. So open the intermediate. It has its own page, with its own stock, its own cost, and its own history, exactly like anything else you sell. And that page names who makes it and what they charge, because that is a fact about the product rather than about one order. There is no chain object anywhere, just products that reference each other. To run it, you order the finished good. Nothing else. Head back to manufacturing orders, over in the sidebar on the left, and start yourself a new one from there. Search for the product you want to make. The form already knows who makes it and what they charge, because the product carries those terms itself. You don't restate the arrangement every time you want a batch. Ask for 1,000 pounds, and create the draft. Creating it raises the stage that supplies it as well. For more than 1,000, because that stage only yields 94%. The same arithmetic as before, running the other way. You asked for one order and got a correct chain. Everything raised is a draft, so nothing reaches a vendor, and nothing is committed to. until you confirm it yourself. Each outsourced stage raises its own purchase order to that vendor. It carries your goods, costed when you receive them, and it carries a manufacturing service fee. That's the shape of a toll arrangement. They're paid to process, not to sell you a product. Traceability is the reason chains are modeled this way. Every handoff is a lot. If a stage is lot tracked, but something it consumes isn't, the recipe says so and points straight at the component to fix. A gap you can see is worth more than a total that looks complete. Head back to your manufacturing orders and open the stage that was raised for you, the one you never asked for directly. It says plainly why it exists, raised automatically to supply the finished order. Its destination is not your warehouse. It is the next vendor's site, because that is who consumes it. Confirming it locks the recipe against further structural change and raises the purchase order that this vendor will actually be paid against. On an outsourced stage, there is no separate produce step. Receiving the contractor's shipment is how production is recorded. The receipt consumes the ingredients you own at their site and books what comes back. Give the batch a number. This is the lot that ties everything together. Now the part that pays for itself. You never multiply the rate by hand. 85 cents a pound times the quantity actually received is $904.26. Type a number only to override it when the vendor's invoice disagrees and you are taking their figure. Confirm, and it tells you exactly what leaves your stock at their site before anything moves. The intermediate now exists as real stock, with its own batch, sitting at the bottler, and it is costed at $1.835 a pound. Your ingredients, plus the co-packer's fee, carried into the goods rather than written off as an expense. That is what makes the next stage honest. Back to the manufacturing orders list one more time, and open the finished good order itself, the one you actually asked for in the first place. It is still a draft, waiting on you. So confirm it the same way you confirm the stage that supplies it. Now look at what this stage consumes. The intermediate the first vendor made, and the bottles you supplied yourself. Both are yours. Both are already sitting at the bottler. That is exactly what a toll arrangement looks like on paper. Receive it, and give the finished batch its own number. And if a freight company billed you for the leg between the two vendors, add it here, against the stage that received the goods. It becomes part of what the inventory is worth rather than an expense of the month, which is where your accountant wants it. Receive it the same way you received the first stage, and confirm what this last run consumes. The confirmation lists both lines with their quantities, the intermediate the first vendor made, and the bottles you supplied, before a single movement is written to your books. The finished lot is then booked against its own batch number, and lands at the third-party warehouse that ships to your customers. So what did a unit actually cost? $2.39.5. The intermediate it was made from, which already carried the co-packer's fee, the bottle you supplied, and the bottler's own charge on top. Every payment along the chain is inside that one number, and nobody added them up by hand. Here is why any of this was worth doing. A customer complains about a batch of finished sauce. Type that batch number into the trace, pick the backward direction, and the answer runs the whole chain one hop at a time. The finished lot, the bottler who filled it, the intermediate batch it came from, the co-packer who cooked that, and the jalapeno lot underneath it all. 2 vendors, 2 handoffs, 1 trace, and every quantity along the way. Now the harder question, the one that decides whether a recall is contained or total. Suppose an ingredient lot is suspect, and you need to know which finished batches contain it. Trace forward from the jalapeno lot, and it walks the other way, through the co-packer's batch and into the bottler's finished lot, with the quantity consumed at every handoff. That's the whole model. A stage is a product with a recipe. The chain is worked out rather than declared. Every stage carries its own terms, which is what lets the next order plan itself, months from now, without anyone rebuilding the chain.
For the full written guide, visit skew.io/docs.